Now, as we close, I want to take a moment to address something that we're hearing a lot, and we hear it as far as the church is concerned, that not as much the church, it's people that want to chastise people in the church if for some reason we're okay with the idea that our country has found themselves in a very, very compromised position of not knowing who's here. We're right now, as I'm recording this, we're in November of 2025, and even a year ago, we still had a very, very open border policy as far as immigration was concerned, and it had been going on for really the entirety of the previous administration. And nobody really knows the numbers, but they're in the tens of millions of people who came through, and we don't know anything about them. So anyway, there are those who are concerned, as I am, about who they are, and that there should have been a legal course for them. Instead, there was nothing legal about how it was handled, and we have no clue as who is here. But we hear in the news all the time that things are really, really bad, that there are a number of very, very hostile people towards our way of life who are committing all kinds of heinous crimes, and we have no idea how many people are here. Worse than that, we don't know how many people are here with very bad intentions but haven't done so yet. They're not just common criminals, but they have a much different ulterior motive. So we hear those reports done all the time. Well, that's the concern that many of us have, including myself. And then there are others who say that what we're doing and how we're handling immigration is completely wrong. It's not, it shouldn't be this way. And whether they're trying to defend what's been going on over the past years or not, they're saying, usually because they have a political problem with how it's being handled, that we're somehow in violation of what they see in the Bible. And of course, they would like to point out what the Scripture has to say about this. So let me give you the passage that we often see quoted, and when they want to make this a big deal. So let's take a look at Leviticus. Let's turn to the book of Leviticus, because this is the one that they love to quote to us. And let's see if their argument actually holds up to scrutiny, because we want to take everything that we see in the text and make proper application. So there is there are a number of things that are said in Leviticus at this point, and there's a lot of things that are put here without great volume of detail. It's just they go through a number of different topics. And so in this case, we see at chapter 19, let's take a look at verse 33, because it's again, one of these very brief things that are said. Verse 33 says, "Now, if a stranger dwells with you in your land, you shall not mistreat him. The stranger who dwells among you shall be as one born among you, and you shall love him as yourself, for you were once strangers in the land of Egypt. I am the Lord your God." And that is thrown at us as see, you people who have a problem with the way that immigration is handled, you're mistreating the stranger. And that they leave it at that, and they quote the passage. But this is kind of one of those things that we see all the time. We're going to be getting to this on Thursday as we go through and start to look at the book of Matthew. And another one of those places that people love to quote, not knowing much about the Bible, but they sure know that verse, chapter 7, verse 1 of Matthew, "Judge not lest you be judged." We get that one thrown at us all the time. Well, here we also have one of those things thrown at us. So let's take a look at this, and we'll take it on its face. So the strangers that are mentioned here, that would be somebody who's not of the children of Israel. But when I say that they're not of the children of Israel, then we really ought to start taking a look at what that actually means. Because this is not for humanity. This is God saying to the children of Israel. Now, who are the children of Israel? They are the direct descendants from Abraham to Isaac, Isaac to Jacob, through his 12 sons. Now, again, this isn't Ishmael. It's not his descendants. This is very, very clearly Jacob. And so Jacob and his sons, and that's the tribes who had come into the land. Now, remember, as he's saying this, they're not even in the land yet. And that is not even being spoken about. So this is in their sojourn. This is during the time of those 40 years, and it would actually work all the way into the time when they're in the land. So this is to the children of Israel, the people who will come in among you. Now, how do we make the direct relation of this to the United States? Well, you start to run into a bit of a problem with that, and here's why. Because first of all, we are talking about a very, very narrowly focused group of people. And how is it that those people are governed? Now, as far as the United States, we are a secular form of government, but we do have laws. And so laws are put in place and people are expected to abide by them. And if they do not, then there are consequences. Well, was it any different among the children of Israel? Of course it wasn't. So the people that would be dwelling among them would be known to them. So the foreigner living among the children of Israel would be definitely known to them. Because again, they're tribal. These are people who belong to the various tribes, and anybody coming in from the outside is going to be very obviously known to them. Now, not only known to them, but they are also going to be expected that from the moment that they come into among the people, they're going to be told the ground rules. So the moment that they show up, you're not among us, you're not from us, but we will allow you to be involved here with us. And there are stipulations to that, which we're going to read about, that never get brought up when somebody likes to throw Leviticus 19 at us. So again, if we're going to try to do the straight across on this, we'll get to that in just a moment. But we need to remember that Israel was a theocracy. And so basically, let's say if you could put a fence around the children of Israel and somebody comes from outside, clearly not of the tribes of Israel, then the whole thing was, okay, if you want to walk in and be a part of us, here are the ground rules. These are the laws. We are a theocracy. You cannot bring your culture here. You cannot bring your gods. You cannot bring anything else. You're going to have to abide by our laws. And our laws are given and directed by God himself, and you will have to suffer the consequence if you violate the laws just like we do. So that would have to be the stipulation to get across the border, if you will. If we're going to try to use this as a straight across, if people want to go ahead and oppose what I believe and what other people believe about enforcing our laws on this, then let's do that. You want to make it a straight across, you want to quote Leviticus, let's do that. So that means that at the border, if you will, if there's a fence around the children of Israel and somebody wants to get in, great, you're welcome to be with us. But let us explain to you what the ground rules are. You're not free to do whatever you want, and you're not free to worship your gods. You're not free to do anything. You have the freedom to be as us. And we were once enslaved, we were once strangers, we were sojourners, we are no longer that. So if it's under those contexts, or that context that you're willing to come among us and live just as though you are one of us, you leave everything that's about you at the door. Okay, if that's the case, then great. There's the narrow conditions. The strangers are different from the children of Israel because of where they come from, but if they want to integrate, they have to do so to the letter. And so the idea that somehow there were no standards for the people who came in and they were free to do and operate as they wished, they could kind of hide in the shadows, if you will. That's one of the things that we hear all the time. Well, they're only hiding in the shadows in our country because they came here not through legal means and they have not assimilated. But again, remember, we're not a theocracy either. This is a very narrowly defined group of people that's being written to here. So when they come into the land ultimately that God gives to them, they're a small segment of the overall population of an entire land. And just because they were sharing the same general territory doesn't mean that they were the same people. So really, really important to understand. If we're going to use the arguments from Leviticus, let's use it all the way across the board and not just use it as a talking point. So if we're going to try to make this work, let's see what this has to say about that. So in Leviticus, let's go back to chapter 17, and you can find so many examples of this. You'll find examples of not only what is said as far as the strangers and not mistreating them, it's mentioned in other places as well, but also what I'm about to read for you is also the same thing. The strangers are welcome to be among you, but they're not free agents. They are going to have to abide by and live according to the same exact rules and laws and codes that God has put in place for his people. So when you see in chapter 17, if you just read, let's just read verse 1. And mainly because we don't want to spend a whole bunch of time in this, but just to kind of give you an idea of just one place where God speaks about one law for all. In verse 1, we read this, "And the Lord spoke to Moses, and he said this, Now you speak to Aaron, to his sons, and to all the children of Israel, and you say to them, This is the thing which the Lord has commanded, saying, Whatever man of the house of Israel who kills an ox or a lamb or a goat in the camp, or who kills it outside the camp. And he goes on to give the list of these things. And this is going to be a very serious matter when it comes to how you are supposed to make a sacrifice and an offering to God. What's acceptable, how it's supposed to be. It's very, very narrowly defined. This is what God says. This is acceptable. Anything else is unacceptable. Don't violate this law. And then we read, as we go a little bit further in this, when we see verse 10, whatever man of the house of Israel or the strangers who dwell among you, who eats any blood, I will set my face against that person who eats the blood, and I will cut him off from among my people. So that's to the children of Israel or to the stranger. It means that they are subject to these laws that God puts here. And when he says cut off, it doesn't mean we're just going to kick you out. This is punishable by death. Notice what he says. For the life of the flesh is in the blood, and I have given it upon the altar to make atonement for your souls, for it is the blood that makes atonement for the soul. Therefore, I said to the children of Israel, no one among you shall eat blood, nor shall any stranger who dwells among you eat blood. Whatever man of the children of Israel or of the strangers who dwell among you, who hunts and catches any animal or bird that may be eaten, he shall pour out its blood and cover it in the dust, for it is the life of the flesh. It is blood that sustains life. Therefore I said to the children of Israel, you shall not eat blood of any flesh, for the life of the blood, or the flesh is in the blood. Whoever eats it shall be cut off. Yes, it was a punishable offense to not only the Jew, but not only to the Jewish person, not only to the children of Israel, but the strangers who dwell among them. That's just a simple way, and there are lots of examples that I could offer to you where it says that the things that God says, here is what you must do. Not negotiable. This is how it must be. If you choose to rebel against it, you will be cut off, you or the stranger, because whoever is among the children of Israel is going to be subject to the exact same laws. So if somebody was to make the case that we're mistreating the strangers, the quote illegal immigrants that are here, but if we're reading what it says to the children of Israel here, to try to make it a straight across, this would be if somehow our government went to people who are legal immigrants, maybe people who have been here for a day or for 10 or 20 years, but they're legal United States citizens who have immigrated from another country but came here legally and have abided by all of the laws and have agreed to everything that is. They've taken their oath of citizenship and they've done all of that. If the government started to gather up all of those people and said, yeah, you're citizens, but because you're not born here, we're somehow going to single you out for mistreatment, then you've got a case. If we're doing equal things here, because you want to quote to me Leviticus, fine, quote Leviticus, but let's make sure that we're comparing apples to apples, because the person in Leviticus that is the stranger is the equivalent to us of the legal immigrant who has gone through the process, taken the oath of citizenship, and abides by the laws and is willing to live according to those laws and not claim, well, it's not that way where I'm from. Well, great. If it's not that way where you came from, then go back there. But if we're going to use the book of Leviticus 19, let's make sure that we are making a straight across interpretation of that particular passage. And remembering that those strangers who lived among the children of Israel lived by the exact same standard all the way down the line, no deviation from it whatsoever. So important that we are able to take these on. Throw Leviticus 19 at me all day long that you want to, verses 33 and 34, but be expecting me to go to Leviticus 17 or some other place that says that the strangers who come in among the people are going to be as the people and subject to the laws, and they're not hiding in the shadows. They couldn't get in the door unless they stipulated to all of the above. So apples and oranges, important that we get a chance to make that known. So if you have any questions on any of what we're talking about here, whether it's in the study or that part on this apologetic, contact me through the ministry's website. oldpaththeology.net. We have a trip going to Israel in the springtime. We'd love to have you along with us for that. So do let me know if you're interested in that. Once again, oldpaththeology.net. There is a contact us page, and we'd love to have you come along with us. And again, any questions you might have on any of these topics, any of the things that we're discussing, please contact me there. And I love your emails. I love the ability to exchange with you this information. So